Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. I'm going to try to go as long as I can before midnight this evening. I want to thank you for dealing with the time change of this live stream. Eric and Luke, thank you so very much. Subscribe to Eric's gaming and also his Odyssey channels. Eric H526 does great work. And if you want to support my voice, ladies and gentlemen, or my work, or my ability to do these live streams, the super chat is greatly appreciated. If you want to talk about the Durham probe, the 300,000 jobs miss. So we had a jobs report today that I thought everyone on the planet would be talking about, but of course, I did a total of 3 segments on that. One on the stock market crash channel. So subscribe there, and 2 on this channel, and of course, nobody cared. It's unbelievable. We are heading towards a stock market crash, and it's going to be devastating. I think I've said it so many times that a lot of people justifiably are like, oh, whatever. But people a lot smarter than I am are saying the same thing. There's going to be a stock market crash. It's going to be devastating, unfortunately. And it's going to send us into another financial crisis. We don't need that, but that's what's going to happen. We'll talk about that later on. I'm obsessed with that. To the super chat, thank you so very much. I can't do this without you. JG, hello. Thank you so very much, JG. An honor and a pleasure always. Paul, everybody here. D. Velasquez, hello. Brian, hello. Everybody here. J. Spot. So the link to the stock market crash channel is below. I just put it on the chat. Thanks, everybody, for dealing with the time change. And let's get started. So this is a typical public relations spin by anyone indicted by the Durham probe or by Democrats, publications that side with Democrats. But this is Yahoo. Business Insider, I like Business Insider, actually. It's one of the better publications out there. But the DNC connected, this is a different article from the article in the description, but it's the same type of thing. The DNC connected lawyer charged in the Durham probe says the indictment doesn't even explain what he's accused of lying to the FBI about. Why would the indictment need to explain exactly? First of all, it does. The indictment, I've read the indictment the past 3 nights on this channel. It explains specifically that he did not tell the FBI that he was getting paid and working for the Clinton campaign and essentially the Democratic Party. Why is that so difficult to understand? Can somebody explain to me why that's so difficult to understand? So the big news now in connection to the Durham probe special counsel is, well, everyone is talking about how absurd the indictment is. Well, why? The difference between this indictment and, for example, Michael Flynn and George Papadopoulos is Michael Flynn and George Papadopoulos, if they were pressured or entrapped by the FBI, and in Michael Flynn's case, James Comey and McKay both stated at different times that that Flynn didn't lie. So it's like what they were so obsessed over lying to these agents had nothing to do with working alongside Russian operatives. The entire fantasy was conjured up and fabricated, and then if they happened to get people in non-material or inconsequential lies, they said, you lied to agents and you obstructed justice. Well, they've made up the whole thing. Trump never worked with Russia. The whole thing was absurd. He never worked with Russia. So lying about something that's completely inconsequential had nothing to do with Mueller not finding out any link between Trump and Russia. That it literally never happened. You would have to be a complete and utter imbecile to believe that. This, however, relates directly to what Trump and Durham and Devin Nunes and Kash Patel have been talking about from day one. What Trump has been talking about from day one is that, hey, they set me up and framed me. This is an example of one of the attorneys working to set up and frame Trump. He was working on behalf of the Clintons. Okay, he told the Bureau he wasn't. That in and of itself is a big problem. The indictment says that, well, Bureau agents were, they had no bias against Trump, and they were just trying out of the goodness of their heart and trying to protect national security. So they thought that this attorney had no ulterior motive. So they trusted the attorney because he told them, under oath or as he was talking to them, that he wasn't working on anyone's behalf. So they trusted what he gave them. Of course, had they known, well, that's of course nonsense. They knew he was working on the behalf of the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. Perkins Co. is a law firm linked directly to the Democratic Party. In fact, there was one attorney that almost certainly Sussman worked with that probably will be charged with a lot more than what this man was charged with. That law firm was the intermediary between Democrats and Fusion GPS. That was the intermediary. So Fusion GPS was hired on behalf of the DNC and Clinton by this law firm. So they impeached Trump. They impeached Trump because they said he wanted to go after his direct political rival. Oh, by the way, canned pears. Thank you so very much. I would like to see H.A. Goodman live stream on some mundane topic like his favorite laundry detergent. All the pros and cons, 2 hours live stream. Let's see. Comet. Yes. Fantastic. Fantastic detergent. Canned pears. Thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciated. Jean-Louis. Revolutionaries lie, then gaslight, then when confronted about it. Exactly. And it's like Robbie, hello. It's so brazen. Jean-Louis, thank you so very much. Canned pears, thank you. They know what they're doing. So it's kind of an interesting, this is like, you can get lost in, there's this whole kind of, you can obsess over this forever, which is why I'm doing these segments, because they're interesting. And it's a special counsel, and nobody's really talking about it the way we're talking about it on this channel. And it's a special counsel, which means it's just like Mueller. So imagine you had all of American media obsessed over Mueller last year, and you have me and maybe a couple other channels talking about the Durham probe this year. That's about it. They don't want to have anything to do with it. But see, here's the bird's eye view or the macro perspective of all of this. When they were going after anyone associated with Trump for lying, the lies had nothing to do with Trump-Russia, because Trump-Russia was a fantasy. So there couldn't have been a lie linked to Trump-Russia. Mueller stated, just to cover his rear end, that, some of the lies that were told affected his ability to find evidence. That's not true at all. There was no evidence. He had a team, and this is another thing. The Mueller probe was compiled of people who were lifelong Democrats. It wasn't bipartisan. Everyone there was a Democrat. I mean, the level of bias and partisanship is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And again, you have Mitt Romney, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, John McCain, Liz Cheney. You have these never Trump Republicans who care more about undermining Trump and trying to just in any way possible control him or, limit his influence, his political influence as president, standing idly by, not saying a word. I mean, they didn't care. And then they had the audacity to say, oh, well, we lost Arizona and we lost Georgia because of Trump. No, you didn't. You lost all these places. You lost all these places because you investigated a Republican president. That's why they lost. They didn't lose because of Trump's personality. Okay? I mean, Trump had zero political... He has zero media support. Okay? But he didn't lose because of his personality. Although he fell for some traps, numerous traps. And in terms of social media, and he could have just, been a bit more diplomatic the last couple of years of his presidency. But, had he gotten off social media last year, history would be completely different. But you have a Republican Party that was just fine with investigating a Republican president. That does not happen. You're going to see when Biden is impeached after 2022, when the House goes Trump Republican, because it's going to go Trump Republican, and it's not going to be a good. If there are no, let's say, shenanigans. It'll go Trump Republican big time. Okay, I always have to, from now on, I'll have to always, add if there's no shenanigans. But Biden's poll numbers are at 38% approval in one poll, and that's with all of media backing. That's with media not even addressing or reporting on numerous scandals and failures. Like, if you just put the jobs report, you'll actually get, this is hilarious. The Washington Post September jobs report shows America's unemployed are sending a message. They'll go back to work when they feel safe and well compensated. How do you spin this? How on earth can you possibly spin this in a manner that absolves Biden's economy? September market was the weakest hiring this year, and an alarming number. Again, it's like the jobs report missed by 300,000 because this administration does not focus on economic growth. Every single protocol, the entire budget he's pushing, is actually opposed, like literally opposed by business. The budget is literally opposed by business. And like the National Association of Manufacturers says 1 million jobs will be lost because of Biden's tax hike. He's raising taxes on corporations. There was a 300,000 job loss. A 300,000 job loss. This is like, you see this with the special counsel and the Durham probe. You see this with media lies by omission, and it's like they're trying to show this movie that the majority of Americans are not watching. That's really what it is. We're watching two different movies. Media shows you a Netflix special that is not the giant screen you're watching in the movie theater. It's two different movies, and they have nothing to do with one another. The average American is looking at a horrible economy, a country that used to have profound influence on the world stage. I mean, do you think there's anyone in the world that looks at us now and says, okay, we have to watch out, we have to worry about what America thinks about this issue or that issue? With Trump, if anything, they were the way they tried to disparage him showed that, like, the consequence of them trying to disparage Trump showed that people were afraid or at least cognizant of our abilities to influence outcomes on the world stage. Oh my God, he's going to start this. Oh my God. We had the Doha Agreement with Trump, which Biden botched, which he should have started evacuating January, February, March, April, and we should have been out by May 1st. In a haphazard, completely irresponsible, failed manner, he said, oh, well, you know what, after April, and you know what, we'll use the T-ban as security. That was not part of the Doha Agreement, and we'll leave $28 to $68 billion worth of weaponry. That had nothing to do with the Doha Agreement. And so then he says, then when you, then Biden, I mean, on a really terrible, like a terrible turn of events, the terrible repercussions, 13 Americans should be alive today, and 169 Afghans should be alive today. You better believe, though, that not only are Washington Post reporters, New York Times reporters, Daily Beast reporters, they're not talking about the 13 Americans lost, but they're also not talking about the 169 Afghans lost. So there you go with the supremacy and all the other theories that they obsess over. These people, look, the entire liberal DC establishment doesn't care about anything but political power. And they claim to stand atop these lofty ideals, and they will jettison the ideals as long as it benefits them politically. You can see what's happening to frontline workers that they revered. You can see how they reported on 169 Afghans losing their lives. And in addition to the 13 Americans they don't talk about. All because Biden completely failed at an evacuation, which was already given to him as a gift. All he had to do was abide by the Doha Agreement. It would have been a foreign policy gift. All they had to do is abide by the Doha Agreement. And it's like they didn't they didn't do that. And we still have Americans in Afghanistan, and they still don't know how many Americans are there. And it's like, you know, now you have just out Durham probes in the Federalist. Durham probes. Durham investigates Pentagon contractors who helped Clinton campaign plot Russia hoax by Paul Sperry, a really brilliant journalist. Prosecutors are investigating whether cybersecurity contractors abused security clearance to feed the FBI false information linking Donald Trump to Russia. So Paul Sperry is fantastic. This is in the Federalist. Cybersecurity experts who held lucrative Pentagon Homeland Security contracts and high-level security clearances are under investigation for potentially abusing their government privileges to aid a 2016 Clinton campaign plot to falsely link Donald Trump to Russia and begin an FBI investigation of him and his campaign. Durham is investigating whether they were involved in a scheme to misuse sensitive, non-public internet data, which they had access to through their government contracts, to dredge up derogatory information on Trump on behalf of the Clinton campaign in 2016 and 2017. Political dirt that sent Bureau investigators on a wild goose chase. There you go. That's huge. They tried desperately to get anyone related to Trump on technicalities. These are not just technicalities. These are possible criminal acts that directly link to what Trump is alleging. The process crimes that they leveled against anyone around Trump had nothing to do with Trump-Russia. These crimes have everything to do with trying to set up and frame Trump. Durham investigators have subpoenaed the contractors to turn over documents and testify before a federal grand jury hearing the case. The investigators are exploring potential criminal charges, including giving false information to federal agents and defrauding the government. So there you go. There you go. The campaign plot was outlined by Durham last month in 20. So we talked about that. It was Cybersecurity Company 1, Cybersecurity Expert 1. The sources familiar with the probe have confirmed that the leader of the team of contractors was a gentleman who has regularly advised the Biden White House on cybersecurity and infrastructure policy. Until last month, he was the chief cybersecurity officer at Washington tech contractor, which federal civil court records show was a longtime client of Sussman Perkins Coie, a prominent Democratic law firm recently subpoenaed. Okay, so... And so, a powerful and influential player in the tech world, this man tasked a group of computer contractors connected to the Georgia Institute of Technology with funding anything in internet data that would link Trump to Russia and make Democratic VIPs happy. The same thing with, who is the VIPs? That was another, oh my God, the Reddit stone tier. What's his name? That was hilarious. I mean, nothing good ever comes. Nothing good ever comes from working alongside. Selling your soul to the Democratic Party, nothing good ever comes. Because they're going to just throw you under the bus eventually. Or eventually, all the lies that you help perpetuate will come back to haunt you. The next month, the group accused Trump of maintaining secret back-channel communications to the Kremlin through the email servers of Russia-based Alpha Bank. The notion that the National Security Agency wouldn't have found all this information, the notion that we would need Trump's J-Spot 51. No Agenda podcast by Adam Curry, John Dvorak. Thank you, J-Spot. Thank you. The notion that we would need other people, like the idea that the National Security Agency and its $10 billion budget wasn't enough. No, it wasn't enough, you know. It wasn't enough at all. We need somebody objective to let us know that Trump was working with Russia. Like, you know, for example, somebody paid by the Democratic Party. That's very reputable, okay? They impeached Trump. This is the double standard. They impeached Trump on a transcript. All that they had, the only thing they had was a transcript. All they had was a transcript. That's it. And they impeached Trump on the notion that he was trying to pressure another country into investigating his direct political rival. And of course, They don't adopt the same viewpoint with Trump. They don't say, well, they don't, with Trump, they don't say, well, yeah, sure, he had a political bias, but he's just trying to make sure the country is safe from a potentially criminal candidate like Biden. So they don't say that, well, he was just trying to find out if perhaps Biden actually did commit a crime. There was no political motive there. Notice that the double standard, the complete and utter double standard, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You have an impeachment done only because they convinced themselves that he was with. There happened to be a shipment of hundreds of millions of dollars in lethal aid that President Obama, by the way, didn't give. So Trump said, look, I want to make sure that it goes to the right place. They said, oh my God, you're pressuring Zelensky. Zelensky himself, okay, President Zelensky and President Poroshenko, his predecessor, both of them stated Trump never pressured us. This is lost among the fever dreams of morally superior Democrats. They literally stated that Trump never pressured us. Okay, it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. The entire impeachment should never. Oh, and by the way, at that time, the federal government was indeed investigating the wonderful Hunter. So it would have been nice had William Barr told people that was not good. But the federal government was actually investigating Hunter and his ties. No doubt to just investigate and not do anything about it. But, you know, when Democrats investigate themselves, they do so to simply say, we investigated, we found nothing. But they couldn't find any direct proof that Trump pressured Zelensky. See, again, they couldn't find any direct proof. There's a January commission. Well, the FBI stated there was no evidence that Trump was linked to any violence or any criminal act. But they're still grandstanding. Like, they don't have any policies. That's why they can't even agree on infrastructure, because they're all over the place and they don't have any policies. They're using their influence, or the only thing they truly care about is political power. So they will run on grievances and politics associated with grievances, and they'll say, well, we'll protect you, while devoting 90% plus of their time to bogus investigations. And investigations, by the way, that actually aren't really backed by, like, they will have to purchase a dossier. Okay, they will not have any legitimate concern that Trump is working with Russian operatives. But they'll purchase a dossier, and they'll say, well, you see, it says here on the dossier we purchased, and then they'll investigate. Or they'll say, Trump and his words, they compelled people to do bad things. We're going to investigate. Well, he wasn't charged with anything. Well, we need his tax returns. We have to have his tax returns. Well, you have his tax returns now. You've charged everyone but Trump with something. They just want, this is the crime against humanity. He paid for perks. He paid for the tuition of his CFO's grandchildren. Oh my God. This is so horrible. This is the biggest crime against humanity that Trump has committed. That he was simply like giving perks to employees and that they didn't file the correct paperwork with the government. So they just want, through whatever means necessary, to go after anyone associated with Trump. That's it. They despise him. They despise him. And the interesting thing is they're going after all of these people, but the government never went after these people. The only reason they're going after these people is because they need a public relations victory just to tarnish Trump. The government never found, for example, that Alan Weisselberg, for example, he never had problems with the United States government before. Well, that, the Southern District of New York prosecutors, they changed that. Okay? Michael Cohen is a little bit different. Michael Cohen, he did, there were issues with New York banks prior to being investigated, I believe. I could be wrong. Michael Cohen actually had a failed taxi business. With Weisselberg, they really tried to just find some way to go after him. But they keep on saying, well, we're getting close to Trump. They literally have nothing. Like, Trump must be the most honest politician who's ever lived. He's been investigated in a different manner than the way Clinton. The Clintons were never really investigated. Ever. Maybe Ken Starr came close. But Comey didn't investigate the servers with top secret intel. He just said, well, there was no intent. He had to go out on a limb and say there was no intent. Okay? He had to go out on a limb and say, well, there was no intent. Trump has been investigated with a special counsel, which found nothing. The allegation, the overarching theme, the Trump-Russia probe was his links to Putin. They didn't find any links to Putin. Then they impeached him on pressuring the president of Ukraine. The president of Ukraine stated he was never pressured. Then there's a commission now on January. Well, the FBI cleared him of January. He was never part of, telling anyone to commit any criminal act. He used the word peacefully. I mean, and by the definition of media, it was mostly peaceful. Exactly, JG, the walls are closing in. Thank you, Jaden Kerr. Read all H.A.'s books on Kindle. Thank you, Jaden Kerr. Thank you so very much, Jaden. Greatly appreciated. Thank you, Jaden. And so, most investing, exactly. He does, exactly. His main vice, is McDonald's. The man does not drink or smoke. Okay? Most people either enjoy a glass of wine, perhaps too much time to time, or will smoke or will do something that he doesn't drink or smoke. And yes, the guy enjoys McDonald's. Okay? But it's like he's pretty healthy. And he survived you-know-what, which is also pretty awesome. So, but again, they despise him so much because the good thing about Trump is that he really is the antithesis of what they want in a politician. They want somebody who is an actor who plays the part and worships all their sacred cows. If you don't worship, this is like on a microscopic level, I did this in 2015. I didn't worship the sacred cows. the sacred cows. Democrats have all of these sacred cows lined up. Oh my God, you have to bow in allegiance and worship them and ask for forgiveness all the time. It happens every 4 years. You know, and that's why Andrew Yang left the Democratic Party. I mean, they cut his mic. And they did that. I mean, he's the last person in the Democratic arena that you need to cut the mic from. They cut the man's mic. Now, they cut Biden's mic because they're embarrassed of Biden. But Politico, hashtag let Yang speak. Let Andrew Yang accuses NBC of cutting off his mic, which they did. And with Tulsi Gabbard, they focused on, I think they put this graphic that looked like a bug or something. Let's see. Hold on. Tulsi Gabbard. Hold on. What was that? Hold on. So, during the debate, it was really weird. What was that? What happened with Tulsi Gabbard during the debate? Wasn't there something that they tried to... Hold on. Debate. What? Am I losing my mind? Wasn't there something going on with... There was something going on, right? Wasn't there? There was something going on. Anyway, there was some kind of thing going on with Tulsi Gabbard, but they... it was like this fake little, thing that they put on her face, something. I forgot what it was. I forgot exactly what it was. If you can tell me in the chat, that'd be great. But the network, however, emphatically denies the tech entrepreneur's claim. Well, of course they deny his claim. And, okay. There were a few times, FYI, where I started talking, being like, hey, I'd like to add something here, and my mic was not on. They turned his mic off. Yang told his fans, it's not like if you start talking, it all of a sudden takes over the convo. It's like I was talking and nothing was happening. You know what? Everything is completely fair. The whole thing was very fair. Everything's fair. Oh, pimple. Is it pimples? Okay. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, okay. Disappearing blemish, or was it? Chin pimple suddenly disappearing. They're so crooked. Let's see this. Hold on one second. They're so crooked, it's unbelievable. They were focused on a pimple or something. Yeah, a pimple. And then suddenly it disappears. So they created this little pimple. And this blemish. Pimplegate. So, I mean, they're so childish. I mean, they're trying to put... I mean, they should have just done those little hilarious, those little the old 1800s bar handle mustaches while Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard were speaking and just painted it on them. We don't like them. We don't like these people, but we're completely fair and neutral. So is the pimple. Exactly. Exactly, Shane. He should have. And thank you, James. Thank you. Yeah. And so let's go, Brandon. And it's like the whole thing was just, it's like there's no, look, there is nothing that they won't do. There's nothing that they won't do. And then when you accuse them, they're like, oh, how dare you? You need absolute categorical proof without a shadow of a doubt to accuse us of anything. Well, what about with Trump and a dossier you purchased? Well, it was a credible dossier. We purchased it, and that doesn't mean it's not accurate. Like, okay. They're so full of themselves, it's unbelievable. But this is interesting. Okay, the Sussman grand jury indictment states that the federal contractors who mined private internet records to help conduct opposition research in coordination with the Clinton campaign were driven not by data, but by bias against Trump. Of course. So, a white-collar criminal defense attorney specializing in fraud cases has confirmed that his client is, the person referred to as Tech Executive 1. All right. Tech Executive 1 exploited his access to non-public data and multiple internet companies to conduct opposition research concerning Trump. And further into these efforts, enlisted and was continuing to enlist the assistance of researchers at a U.S.-based university who were receiving and analyzing internet data in connection with a pending federal government cybersecurity contract. They're using, there are so many, there are so many links here to, there's so many indictments that the Durham probe could level. You have people using government contracts to go after Trump. This is so widespread and corrupt, and it really is evil. It's un-American. You can't just go and utilize the United States government against an incoming candidate. This is unbelievable. And the way that media looks at it is, he's capable of anything. So instead of actually looking in the mirror and saying, oh, we helped foment a myth, what they say is, he's capable of anything, so anything goes. It's like they just despise him. Biden also, Hunter also, they're capable of anything as well. But the narcissism sets in. Oh, well, of course they wouldn't do that. But you see this everywhere. You could look right now at, like I said, you could type in Biden and Biden insists economic plan is making progress despite low job numbers. We are going to head towards a stock market crash and a financial crisis. We already have a financial crisis now. The stock market does not reflect how bad it is in the economy. The market is at an all-time high. This is why I've obsessed over this for months now, but well over a month. I've stated categorically there's going to be a stock market crash. And there's going to be a financial crisis because we're at an all-time high in margin debt. And the stock market is at an all-time high. And we miss job numbers. And the Fed's going to taper. Which means they're going to ease and slow down or halt, eventually, the quantitative easing. Which means that money isn't going to be pumped into the economy. $120 billion will not be pumped every month into the economy with government debt purchases. Federal Reserve mortgage and debt purchases. So, when that happens, the stock market is going to tank, or before that happens. They're petrified of that because they want free money. They want to know that even if the economy isn't functioning, that the government will pump money into the economy to prop it up, or pump money into the stock market and prop it up so they can trade off of the free money. So the problem is we face a serious issue with inflation. And you can't simply buy $80 billion a month in treasuries and $40 billion in mortgage-backed securities forever. The Federal Reserve can't simply buy $120 billion of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities forever. And interest rates can't be at zero forever. And it's already difficult to get a a bank loan now. So, I mean, you have a situation where if the economy was working, jobs were beating estimates, there's nothing to talk about, really. I mean, eventually there would be a stock market crash, yeah. I wouldn't have started the stock market crash channel, because then I would be saying that for years on end, and then it's going to happen within a year. And if the economy was functioning, and if the economy was roaring and back on track and functioning, that's a different story. That would, then you really can't say much. Then you just, you say, okay, well, what they did worked out. I mean, if job numbers were this is like the second or third straight month that we've missed estimates dreadfully. I think 3 out of the past 4 months, job numbers have missed estimates dreadfully, and we're in negative territory in terms of some numbers associated with GDP. Real final sales is in negative territory. So we have inflation running rampant, energy prices are soaring, supply chain is broken down. We have all of these problems, okay? And you have a derivatives nightmare waiting to happen. I mean, you could possibly see 1, 2, 3, 4 hedge funds go under in a span of 2 weeks. You have Evergrande in China, and then you have Cynic Holdings, and you have Fantasia. I mean, you didn't know about these companies before they were about to default on hundreds of millions in debt. And in Evergrande's case, hundreds of billions. And, I mean, where's the good news? Katma, hello. Where's the good news? Hi, Caroline, hello. Where's the good news, ladies and gentlemen? Where's the beef? Oh, that's another one. Remember no, there's not a demon. The fact check, Biden, mashed potato brains is the most absurd president because his fact checks, fact check, Reuters, a demon was not president of Biden's April 28th. I need a fact check for this. Really? A demon was not president. Biden's April 28th address to Congress. Well, that's good. I thought a demon was president. Oh, well. A demon wasn't president. Present, sorry. Then you have Biden meet. And CNN, no, Biden is not trying to force Americans to eat less meat. And then in Biden's plan, it's like, researchers looked at Biden's plan and said, oh, well, that would mean if implemented, people would be eating less meat because it would affect the industry, okay? But here, he's not even suggesting people eat less meat. It's just that if all his policies actually work out, people will be forced to eat less meat. Oh, the Trumpers again with their maniacal, false, fact-check, false beliefs. USA Today, let's read this. Fact check. False claim ties Biden's climate plan to reducing meat consumption. Just out of curiosity, are we the only country with a climate plan? Because China also has a climate plan, but they're not fulfilling even the deal that they made with Trump. Also, they have a media that is controlled by the state. So how on earth would we know if they were actually abiding by their climate plan? He wants to increase taxes and focus on a wonderful climate plan that would alter industries while the economy is barely functioning. Like, the economy is not rebounding. It was allowed to function. There's a difference. It's like you're not competing if you had a broken leg that just healed and you run a mile against people who, are healthy. That's not a competition. But fact check. Allie, thank you. Fact check. False claim ties Biden's climate plan to reducing meat consumption. Oh, Trumpers, you'll believe anything. You'll believe anything, Trumpers. Let's see what really is taking place. Trumpers say that Biden wants you to eat less meat. The truth is different from what they believe. The claim. Biden's climate plan will limit Americans' meat consumption to 1 burger per month. So listen. When Taiwan is invaded, God forbid, the stock market crashes. Who knows what else will take place? We will at least be able to enjoy 1 burger per month. Dear Uncle Joe will give us 1 burger per month. We'll be happy. We'll all be like that character from Popeye the Sailor Man. Users on Facebook, a bastion of misinformation that's bad for democracy, are sharing articles that claim President Joe Biden's climate plan will require Americans to reduce their meat consumption to 1 burger per month. Who would believe such a thing? Uncle Joe would never do that to us. He loves burgers. On April 22nd, Biden announced a plan to reduce U.S. greenhouse gas emissions with a goal of 2030 emissions being halved the level of 2005. Why don't they just say half the level of, earlier when emissions were... Okay. The headline of the article shared on social media reads, New! Biden's climate change plan will limit you to only 1 burger per month. Trending Politics, a self-described conservative, made similar claims. The claim was shared on as a fact and attacked by many Republican politicians. Fact check. Claim based on 2020 study unrelated to Biden. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack told reporters there is no effort, quote, there is no effort designed to limit people's intake of beef coming out of the President Biden's White House or USDA. So this is let's look at what's taking place. There's no effort designed to limit people's intake of beef. All right. The claim originated in the Daily Mail, which published a story connecting Biden's plan to a 2020 study from the University of Michigan. So what's the problem there? I don't know what the Daily Mail did wrong, but maybe the fact check here will tell us. The study focuses on changes in greenhouse gas emissions solely from our diet. Researchers estimated diet-related greenhouse gas emissions would decrease to 51% by 2030 if beef consumption decreased by 90%, and the consumption of all other animal-based products decreased by 50%. Okay? Anyway, celery and beets are healthier. What's the problem? Uncle Joe's trying to help you. The beef decrease would result in each person eating 4 pounds of beef per year. 4 pounds of beef per year? That is not a hamburger a month. That's less than a hamburger a month. What kind of hamburgers do you eat? Anyway, but that's purely a hypothetical. And no one has and one that has no connection to Biden's plan. This study was published in January 2020, a year before Biden took office. At the time, Biden was still campaigning for president. I mean, it had nothing to do with the study anyway. The study didn't mention Biden's climate plan or his administration. Yeah, that's not the point. I love how they just split hairs and it's like, oh my God, they found a pot of gold. Martin Heller, one of the authors of the study, told USA Today the study wasn't developed to be considered as a policy recommendation. Oh, then they call to badger the poor guy who started the study. It isn't connected to our study. Merely identifies opportunities for emission reductions that are possible from changes in our diet. By no means does it suggest that changes in diet would be required to meet climate goals. Yeah, but the climate policy says that you would have to the research study says that in order to meet Biden's, yes, I understand it wasn't made specifically to address Biden's climate plan, but Biden's climate plan and the study each have the 50% decrease in gas emissions by 2030 or so. This study says you'd have to decrease beef consumption by 90% and the consumption of all other animal-based foods. So you could say goodbye to chicken also. Bye, chicken. Bye. By 50%. So you decrease beef by 90%, decrease chicken by 50%, you can get the 50% decrease in gas emissions. Then they say, well, that doesn't mean you have to do all of that. There are other ways to decrease by, well, then what are the other ways? How are you going to get to this without something, life-changing or how do Americans get to decreasing gas emissions by 50% without changing their diet? Reaction to study. R rating false. Claims that Biden's climate plan will require Americans to reduce their meat intake to 1 burger per month are false. First of all, it would be less than 1 burger per month. It would be like maybe a third of a burger. You'd get they have the little sliders. You would get a mini slider. It could be a Biden slider. This little Biden slider. It's 1/8 of an actual burger. So good for the environment. And honestly, who needs a nice mouth-watering burger? We don't need that anymore. The study claims the study the claims are based on was not developed as part of Biden's plan. Who cares? The study's findings that greenhouse gas emissions would decrease by 50% by 2030 if beef consumption decreased by 90% is a hypothetical. Then they just trash the study. It's obviously a hypothetical from people who are hallucinating and not meant to be taken as policy recommendation. Okay. They're definitely not going to stop your beef consumption, although what'll happen is you'll have to stop eating beef. So, there you go. There you go. That's just one. So this is like Fox News apologizes for airing misleading graphic accusing Biden of wanting to curb meat consumption. Has CNN ever apologized for the endless coverage on Trump Russia? No. That's the difference between conservative media and liberal media, which is the mainstream. Larry, like eating bugs, we won't. Larry. JG. Jacob! HL trade 1 Biden stimulus check for 4 chickens, 3 dozen eggs, 10 pounds of beef, a sack of sunflower seeds, and Frank Sinatra's greatest hits DVD. Oh my God, I think we're related, Jacob. Straight up, throw in Norm Macdonald's greatest hits and I'm sold. Yes, we are related. Jacob, thank you so very, very much. Jacob, thank you so very, very much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated, Jacob. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you. I mean, this is a recipe for disaster, Jacob. Angela Goodwin. Well, most of the promoters of this idiocy will be for seeing others still eat beef freaks them. Angela, yeah. They don't want... it's interesting, too, because the largest steaks are probably consumed by the morally superior people who wrote the bill. So, Angela, thank you so very, very much. Jacob, thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Greatly, greatly appreciated. So, it's like... I mean... You're going to worry about climate change and you're going to worry about taxing corporations now. Nothing we do is going to affect the climate of the world. Nothing we do as a country right this second now. So I'm not saying you don't address it, but why make sweeping changes to the economy when you have a barely functioning economy? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. None of the you're going to raise corporate taxes. According to the National Association of Manufacturers, it's going to lead to 1 million jobs lost. So what's the point? Why would you do that? And if the climate change policies are bad for the economy, and we already have an economy that's barely functioning, maybe you should put them off. Knowing that you probably need the entire planet to be on the same page. So again, it's like whatever feels good. There's no assurance that what we do is going to address the issue of climate change. The only assurance is that it's going to almost certainly negatively impact the economy. So if you limit beef consumption, you're hurting a very important industry in the country that employs hundreds of thousands of people. But again, what do they care? They're the same people who say, oh yes, electric car vehicles, and they don't realize that lithium and cobalt and other precious metals are mined by indigenous people in locations that are in mines that are extremely dangerous and unhealthy. But they don't care. If they say the words indigenous people and climate change, they feel better about themselves. They can't really correlate their actions or policies to bettering the world, but they feel better about themselves. I don't believe the studies that say, well, if you look at electric car vehicles, they're actually the carbon emissions are actually negative the longer they keep running, because once you even disposing of the batteries causes tremendous problems in terms of the environment. Creating the batteries is also labor intensive from the mining of those metals, but also an environmental hazard. I wrote a Federalist article on this. You can go to my Federalist author page, see the article. But I don't know. Cali boy! Ask 46 about a stimulus package. and watch his arousal. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I want to watch his arousal. Cali boy, thank you. That's definitely what gets them aroused. Like I say, they touch themselves in ecstasy to all of this. They actually don't live in the same world we live in. Cali boy, thank you so very, very much. They stimulate. Oh, now I get it. Oh my God. I'm having a slow night tonight. Cali boy, thank you. What? Ask 46 about a stimulus. Now I get it. Thank you, Cali boy. Thank you. I think that's probably how he feels about it also. Cali boy, thank you. Thank you. Testa. Eat Dems, problem solved. Now say my name, H-A. Testa. And then please. Hello. Cali boy, thank you again. Testa, thank you. Thank you. Roger Rabbit. Financial this crisis, that blah, blah, blah. Every night, Goodman, you're on here crying about everything. Admit it, you love mean tweets. Get a life. The mean tweets, I don't care about. Sometimes, Roger Rabbit, I say he does go a little bit overboard. He didn't have to do certain things, but he didn't have to say certain things. But I just hope Trump doesn't get on Twitter. Roger Rabbit, you're awesome. Thank you so very much, Roger Rabbit, for the kind words as always. Jacob, thank you. Cali boy, thank you so very much. Testa, thank you. Roger Rabbit, you're awesome. Thank you, Roger Rabbit. Thank you. It's like they know that they're going to be booted out of Congress. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to my super chat. I can't do this without you. Thank you so very much. They know they're going to be booted out of Congress, so they just want to add every single possible, talking point, liberal Democratic talking point. And, it's like they know that this budget is not going to help the economy. Most Americans haven't even seen a shovel. They don't know what it is. And people in the chat, I know, Ian and all the amazing people who watch this channel, there are people who build things who watch this channel and who are, in construction. But most Americans are not. So it's like, it makes no sense. The National Association of Manufacturers. Let's look right there. Tax increase would cost 1 million jobs. The National Association of Manufacturers. And here's the link. Here's the link, everybody. Roger Rabbit, Jacob, Cali Boy, everybody here, Testa, everybody here. Thank you so very, very much. Angela, thank you. Here's the link. National Association of Manufacturers, tax increase would cost 1 million jobs. And economists John W. Diamond, George R. Zodro calculated the effects of increasing the corporate tax rate to 28%, increasing the top marginal tax rate, repealing the 20% pass-through deduction, eliminating certain expensing provisions, and more. The costs, researchers found that these changes would cause large negative effects for the economy. The worst effects would include, as I take off my little hat here, 1 million jobs lost in the first 2 years. By 2023, GDP would be down by $117 billion. Wow. By $190 billion in 2026 and $119 billion in 2031. Ordinary capital or investment in equipment and structures would be $80 billion less in 2023, $83 billion, and $63 billion less in 2026 and 2031, respectively. The study also notes that investment in intangibles or firm-specific capital are highly mobile and more sensitive to marginal tax rate changes. Such investments would fall 2.7% by year 2 and would be down to a total of 3.8% by year 5. The average annual reduction in employment would be equivalent to a loss of 600,000 jobs each year over 10 years. Wow. Wow. So, this is not good. This is not good at all. But again, it's like, you don't hear about this. One issue, Republicans are terrible at, horrible at public relations. I mean, horrible. I'm reading a Patreon message. Hello, sir. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely horrible. And tax increase would cost jobs. 1 million jobs in the first 2 years. And an equivalent of 600,000 jobs. Let's read that really quickly again. By the way, this isn't the only study. Republicans are terrible at actually getting these studies. Would it hurt Mitch McConnell to be like, by the way, the National Association of Manufacturers said that 1 million jobs would be lost. 1 million. They don't ever say anything like that. You never hear this. Okay? And the best thing would be a fact check on this. You couldn't really fact check this, but it would be hilarious. We spoke to other economists, and they disagree. Fact check. We rate the economists who came up with this study as claiming things that are false. That's what it comes down to. When they can't actually refute the argument with a base of knowledge they possess, they just ask liberal scientists. Well, there are scientists who perhaps aren't liberal, or liberal economists. Well, there are perhaps economists that are conservative. Liberal foreign policy experts. Well, there are perhaps foreign policy experts that are conservative. It's such a fabricated public relations stunt. It's such a fabricated public relations stunt. I mean, but Democrats or Republicans are really bad at this. I mean, how difficult is it? The National Association, you know who's also against it? The Business Roundtable and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. They're against all of what Biden's doing. But you would never know this. If you watch this channel, you would know this. But if you don't, you'd never know this. Republicans are horrendous at public relations. They're just content with all of media siding with Democrats. They're really just content with all of media siding with Democrats. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Is it that difficult to get Mitch McConnell? Is it that difficult? How difficult is it to tell people, to inform people about this study? How difficult is it? It's not that difficult. It's really not. This is you look at the stock market right now. Okay? Look at a Dow Jones chart. And I don't get into I don't really talk about how far it's going to go down or any technical analysis or anything like that, because that's not my thing and I don't even want to go there. But you look, is the economy, you look at, was the economy better in February of 2021 or is it better now? Well, of course it's better. It was better in February of 2021. Okay? In my view, the economy was functioning. Working on all cylinders. And the Dow was at 29,000 and people were saying it was a bubble then. Now it's at 34,000. Over 34,000. Okay? So, if it goes down just to when the economy was really flourishing, that would be a huge drop. Okay? And over 10% drop. But then if it goes down to like 27 or 26 or 25, I mean, you're looking at, an enormous loss in paper wealth or wealth in the market. And the margin, people will have margin calls, hedge funds will have margin calls they won't be able to deal with. Bitcoin, for example. Let's look at Bitcoin. It's at 54,000. Okay. In December of last year, it was at 22. You know what? I'll leave Bitcoin alone, but who knows what's going to happen to it? It could go down to 20. It could go down to 15. Nobody knows. Angela Goodwin. Mitch have not seen a shovel, a hammer, and does not know the difference between a potato harvest and an apple harvest. Thank you, Angela. Thank you. I was going to read the whole thing. I couldn't read it. Mitch, thank you so very much. Angela Goodwin, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't think he would know. I don't think that he would know. I agree with you on that. And so, Angela, I agree with you. Thank you. So the stock market's like oblivious to any economic reality. They just care their whole lives. Like, if you watch CNBC, all they care about is Fed tapering and interest rates staying at zero. But it's not going to. This is how absurd the whole thing is. Okay, this is why I obsess over this, because I find it fascinating. The entire United States economy is like the beginning, the opening in Jaws. We're swimming in an ocean, and the financial crisis is about to devour us, and we're completely oblivious. They're like, oh, well, you know what? The Fed is not going to taper because the economy isn't rebounding. And I'm like, well, yeah, the economy isn't rebounding. Why is the stock market at an all-time high with margin debt at an all-time high? Does that make any sense at all? Does that make any sense at all? And we already had a financial crisis. We're dealing with a financial crisis now. The supply chain is broken. We broke a functioning supply chain that was working for years and years and years. I don't remember I'm sure if you lived through the 70s, you remember something similar, but I don't remember a supply chain breakdown in the manner of what's going on today. Do you? I'm sure in other countries, if you've lived in other countries, I'm sure that you've seen something like this, but in the United States of America, we haven't seen anything like this. And so, when the stock market does crash, you're going to have financial issues as well. Theta Naya! Thank you so very much, Theta. 2.97. Oh my God, I can't thank you enough. 2.97 trillion is 8,000 per human in America. That leaves 6,000 per American missing. Yes. Check PA-Luz. Easy freezer under ice cream. Theta Naya. Thank you so very much. My goodness, Theta. I can't thank you enough. Yes. Wow. 6,000 per missing American. That is unfortunately something I agree. Like, how we can just allow and just turn away from the fact that we've left Americans in Afghanistan. It's unbelievable. Theta Naya, thank you so very much. I can't thank you enough for your generosity. It's so kind of you. Thank you, Theta. Thank you so very, 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 very much. 2.97 trillion is 8,000 per human in America. So that's I think you're referring to the monetary stimulus also from the Federal Reserve. I thought it was 3.3, but theft. Okay. Wow. Thank you, Theta. Thank you so very, very much. Oh, Pelosi. Yeah. Easy free. That's right. Oh, my God. That's right. The Pelosi. Wow. Nancy Pelosi. Wow. Easy freezer under check Pelosi. Yes. Thank you so very, very much, Theta Naya. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I mean, you look and... Thank you, Theta. Thank you so very much. I can't thank you enough. $3 trillion. 2.97 trillion since... Okay, so... The Federal Reserve... I read it was 3.3 trillion. So... No, it's more than 3 trillion. Federal Reserve 3 trillion rescue inflates market bubbles. This was in July, by the way. Theta, thank you so very much. In July of 2020, the Federal Reserve's $3 trillion bid to stave off economic crisis is fueling excess across U.S. capital markets. This is last year. Last year. Stock market bonanza. Corporate America have driven yield-hungry investors back to the equity markets. So this was last year, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Theta Naya, thank you so very, very much. And it's like, you look at, so it was 10 trillion total. If you look at the Total stimulus, Theta, and everybody here. So this is a 5.2 trillion stimulus, according to the Washington Post. 5.2 trillion 5.9 trillion in relief authorized by Congress and 3.3 trillion in quantitative easing. So approaching $10 trillion. And when we close down the economy, there's 22 million jobs lost initially. I'm pitching an article to a couple of publications, and so I have all this information here. We still have 10 million fewer jobs. When we actually, Theta and everybody here, thank you so very much, Theta, I can't thank you enough. When we ended the economy as we know it, the unemployment rate was 3.6%, but we had stronger than expected job and wage growth in January of 2020, and we had a functioning economy, no supply chain shortages or breakdowns, no labor shortages. We went from January great economy to toilet paper shortages within March or April. And 8,000 per human in America. Wow. 6,000 per missing exactly. Wow. And they still don't talk about the missing Americans. Americans in Afghanistan. The Biden administration says extended vacation. Hey man, come on man, it's the extended vacation, man. It's a Holiday Inn, man. You know the deal, man. Oh my gosh. You should never, like, the ethos or the ethic is never leave any Americans behind. Kash Patel said 1,000 or so Americans. I mean, we have Americans left behind in Afghanistan, and we have residents left behind as well. The fact that we don't know, this is what's troubling. The fact that media doesn't even try and find out the exact number is unbelievable to me. Why don't we try to find out the exact number and do everything possible diplomatically to bring Americans home? Same thing with everything possible diplomatically to protect Taiwan. I mean, France's ambassador, they pulled their ambassador. They withdrew their ambassador. And it's like, Theta, I agree with you. Thank you so very, very much. I can't thank you enough, Theta. Thank you. How can you simply, like, could you imagine if it was Trump? Could you imagine there would be stories every day in the New Yorker, the New York Times, the Washington Post? I mean, about Americans left behind, about Americans experiencing, atrocious things. And radio silence, August 31st, just complete silence. Complete and utter silence. And in media covers for mashed potato brains, they don't care. We have Americans left. We have no clue. They don't even know. Mumbling Blinken and Biden they don't even know how many Americans. Kash Patel said something along the line of thousands. So now the question is, how do they get out now? And you spend all of this money pumped into the economy, and we still have a terrible economy. Mikhail Archangel! Hi, HA, my super chat got intercepted, but here I send in the chat. Hopefully it's not intercepted. God bless us all, everyone. God bless you, Mikhail Archangel. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Mikhail. Thank you. Mikhail Archangel, thank you. Theta, thank you so very, very much, Theta. I can't thank you enough. So kind of you. Mikhail. And Mikhail, I think that protecting the Philippines, protecting South Korea should be our most important national security concerns, two of our most important national security concerns, and especially if China invades Taiwan, because there are disputed islands. And, mashed potato brains, Theta and Mikhail and everybody here had a conversation with Z. Do you want to know what it was like? It was Theta and Mikhail and everybody here. Do you want to know what it was like? JG, everybody here. Eric, Luke, everybody. This is what the conversation was. It was like, ring, ring. Hello? Hey, man, come on, man. You know the deal, man. Hey, Z-Man, you're not going to invade Taiwan, are you, man? No. Okay, thanks, man. I gotta go now. Having my midday porridge and a milkshake. Oh, come on, man. Cornflakes out. That's pretty much the end of the conversation. It was, you're not invading Taiwan, are you? No. Okay. That's good. Well, let us know if you do. Keeping up appearances. That's what he told Ashraf Ghani. It's what he told Ashraf Ghani. It's like, you need to keep up your appearances. People are talking. Well, thanks, mashed potato brains. People are talking, and they're saying that you're going to fold in 2 seconds to the T-Ban. Yeah, we need air support and help, and, you probably should not shut down Bagram, which I don't know why they did. Thankfully, General Milley was reading D'Angelo's book. Oh, Robin DiAngelo. So, General Milley, what was he reading? Oh, my God. This is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. Do you they wrote Sun Tzu. We wrote the book on fragility, okay? They wrote Sun Tzu, The Art of War, and we're erasing children's books, okay? Oh my God, they're going to they're going to be the superpower in less than 5 years, okay? Less than 5 years. Then when we try to impose tariffs, I'm like, psh, whatever. Like I said, 90s hurricanes. I'm a diehard USC Trojan fan. But it's the 90s hurt. If you want them out of the end zone, if you don't want them celebrating in the end zone, stop them from getting in. Stop them from getting in the end zone. Okay? We have General Milley reading about fragility. They're rereading Sun Tzu, The Art of War, and it's game over. So it's no problem. It's game over. Okay? It's no problem. It's like Theta, Mikhail, everyone here, they're so much smarter than us. They're so much smarter than us. It's unbelievable. Charles, thank you. Always a pleasure reading your messages on Patreon. Charles, thank you. There's so much. It's basically China versus the U.S. China being a Lamborghini, a Ferrari. The U.S. being a Prius that's barely functioning because the batteries are stuck at the dock. It's actually the Prius that doesn't even work because of the battery, or the Tesla that doesn't work because the batteries are stuck outside a port. You got the batteries outside a port on a ship. I mean, it's like, we used to like, whatever. The good thing is that we can always look back at Rocky movies and say, hey, we were number one once. We were number one. Yay. Instead of we're number one, it'll be like, we used to be number one. We used to be number one. It's like unbelievable. And then the interests of the Democrat, we couldn't talk about the origins of you know what. Oh my God. They don't want us to talk about the origins of you know what. So the Democrats were basically like doing everything possible to protect their interests, which was fantastic for them. You know, Luke St. Martin. How about a backstabbing turtle impression, that chump? Luke St. Martin. How dare you? How dare you besmirch my name, my good name? Theta and Mikhail and Conrad. Did you hear what Luke St. Martin said about me? Luke St. Martin, I'll have you know, as the turtle, Mitchell McConnell, is a name that lives on in Kentucky. A name revered for my years of public service. I just want to tell you, everybody here, I love this country. God bless America. And God bless President Trump. Orange Manos. Conrad, thank you so very much. Keep up the good work, HA. Thank you, Conrad. Thank you. Luke, I tried. I tried my best. Thank you, JG. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I tried my best. I'm still working on the Christopher Walken, JG. Every day. It's so difficult. Mitch McConnell is hilarious. This whole debt ceiling thing is like, McConnell tells Biden the debt ceiling will not be raised by Republicans in December. He also Schumer for his rant. Schumer, you want to step outside, Schumer? How about you and me in the octagon? That's Mitch McConnell. So that's what the voice is, Mitch McConnell. Tried. Luke, thank you so very much, Luke. I appreciate that. Thank you. I tried with the Mitch McConnell. Christopher Walken. I tried. Don't believe. Hold on one second. Let's see. So, Mitch McConnell is show business 20 years ago. Said last night, Republicans, I love the way also the Democrats are like, you're going to bankrupt this country. If you don't, the Democrats are like, if you don't abide by our $30 trillion budget, you'll bankrupt this country. You will bankrupt this country. It's like, it's a budget even the National Association of Manufacturers doesn't like, so. Luke St. Martin, thank you. Conrad, thank you again. Very kind of you, Conrad. Thank you. Theta, Mikhail, thank you so very much. Theta, thank you so very much. Mikhail, thank you. Last night, Republicans filed a leadership vacuum that has troubled the Senate since January. Filled the sorry. I read you, I will not provide such assistance if your all-Democratic government drifts into another avoidable crisis. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer had 3 months' notice to handle one of the most basic governing rules. McConnell's is going on, Madonna lies across desk, flashes audience. What's this about? On the Tonight Show. Okay. So let's see. McConnell vows GOP won't help raise debt ceiling in December after Schumer tantrum. I regret to inform you that you've been rude and uncouth, and you can take your infrastructure bill and shove it with our son to hand. Last night, Republicans filled. Okay, so. So McConnell's letter is a warning to Democrats, but also gives an early signal to his own members that he won't give Democrats the same off-ramp in December. The decision by McConnell this week to open the door to a short-term debt extension earned him an unusually intense level of criticism from Senate GOP. So it's interesting because the stock market's like it's hilarious, it's so counterintuitive and absurd. They're awaiting a deal, but it's like, Larry, million awards and so 3 more rows of ribbons. Travis, Yamura, thank you so very much. Travis, thank you. Thank you, Travis. Luke, thank you. And the way they think of this, the way they think of things is like, McConnell's bankrupting this country. It's like, well, you're the ones who have all of government right now. You can't even get your own infrastructure bill. Apparently, they don't even need McConnell. They could go ahead and the Senate voted 50-48 to favor extension. In his letter Friday, McConnell touted the deal as due to his leadership and blamed Democrats, namely Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, for the crisis. Senator Schumer marched the nation to the doorstep of the disaster. Embarrassingly, it got to the point where senators both sides were pleading for leadership to fill the void and protect our citizens. I stepped up. In a letter, McConnell called Schumer's speech a bizarre spectacle. Senator Schumer exploded in a rant that was so partisan, angry, and corrosive that even Democratic senators were visibly embarrassed by him. That's hilarious. And it just so happened that Manchin was covering his face while Schumer was speaking, but Manchin was just, I don't think it was actually that he was embarrassed. He was just like, had a hard working, long day at work. This is hilarious. McConnell said his message Friday came in light of Senator Schumer's hysterics, along with the reservations about a partisan spending bill. And then you get these like Janet Yellen warned about the danger of what could be the first U.S. default in history. That would be the fault of Democrats, not Republicans. So, it's like you ended all of it. You ended economic activity, and that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of the end for everything. Then the debacle in Afghanistan with Biden, of course, it wasn't leaving, it was how we left. How we left was the issue. He did not abide by the Doha Agreement. So, I agree with you, Theta, on that as well. Also, when you hear Janet Yellen and you hear Jerome Powell talk about the debt ceiling or the economy, they don't even... Missy, she does look like that, yeah. Conrad, thank you. It's like they don't even believe what they don't believe. I don't think they don't believe at all anything they say about the infrastructure bill or Biden's budget. It's so simple. Like, all Mitch McConnell has to do is say, look, I'm not going to bend over backwards, or I'm not going to help you spend more money for a bill, for a budget that will actually decrease economic growth. And here are examples. The National Association of Manufacturers says this, then you'll get the rebuttal. But other people say this, and that study is flawed. And this, so every study, so this is how they work. And it could be any policy. They come up with a consensus, a fabricated consensus. It's actually just a bunch of, it could be a letter signed by 500 former Justice Department, employees, or 200 attorneys, or 300 scientists, or 400 experts. And then they have all these publications. So it's this fabricated consensus. And Republicans have no, response. They, too, there are conservative experts in every field. All they have to do is reach out and offer an opposing viewpoint based on the consensus of people who disagree with the consensus that Democrats worship. That's called a debate and dialogue, okay? See, it's not really, Democrats don't really have a consensus. They have just a bunch of people that they point to say, look, we're right. That's not a consensus. That's called public relations. Public relations. They're not really good at selling things, but they're good at drowning out any other voices and forcing their viewpoint. So that's the issue. It's not that difficult. But I mean, we won't have an actual opposing viewpoint in the country until Trump Republicans get the House. Then you'll have, opposing viewpoints. Let's see here. Let's type in Biden one more time. That's hilarious. Saki, this is so funny. The poll numbers are tanking, and the Democrats, the poll numbers are tanking, and that's with all of media backing Trump. Backing Biden. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. Theta. I can't thank you enough, Theta Naya. Thank you so very much, as always, for watching. And just, for being so generous. Thank you. Mikhail, Luke, Eric, everybody here. JG, Conrad, everybody here. Larry, thank you so very much. Thanks, everybody. I can't thank you all enough. Theta, thank you again. So, so, so kind of you. I can't do these live streams without you, ladies and gentlemen, without the super chat, and it is greatly appreciated. Thanks, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Subscribe also to the Stock Market Crash channel. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. To my super chat, Theta, and everybody here, I can't thank you enough. Have a great evening. Stay safe. Happy, healthy. God bless you. Every month, save money, because we're going to unfortunately have a financial crisis because of a stock market crash that will lead to hedge funds, banks could possibly go under or need to be bailed out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Hit subscribe. Theta, thank you again. Everybody here, thank you. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow.